We are back with some Lost City of Ungoro cards. I know I'm a little bit behind on some of these, but we're gonna just pick kind of where we left off, do everything in between now and the last video. We're gonna start with Enter the Lost City, the Warrior Quest. The objective, survive 10 turns, so you just have to live and play the game. And for the reward, you get Latorvius, Gaze of the City. That is a 5 mana 8/8. That's pretty typical for the quest rewards. But the battle cry, get 2 random Journey to Ungoro quest rewards, shuffle the rest into your deck. So I'm not going to go over all of these like in depth or anything, but the Barnabas, the Time Warp, the Crystal Core, all the things you would get, Queen Carnassa, Sulfurous, Megafin, oh, that's the hero power, the Nether Portal, the Galvadon, the Amara, and I think the rest of these are just, yeah, these are just the things they spawn. So yeah, a lot of value, a lot of really fun old cards coming back. So this looks interesting. I don't know how great it's going to be. At least to start. We'll see though. It will definitely have some really feels good moments when you get this quest completed, play this, and get some really cool cards, right? You're going to have 10 mana by that point anyway, because you have, to survive till turn 10. So you'll be able to drop this and one of your rewards, right off the bat. So it'll make it so you get to, kind of experience all the fun of the card right when you complete it, at the very least. Next, we have Axe of the Forefathers. It's a 3 mana 2/2 weapon. After your hero attacks, deal 1 damage to all minions. Nothing super fancy, just a whirlwind effect on a weapon. Pretty decent though. I think, good against early boards. So you're probably going to play this in more defensive decks right now, I believe. I don't really think there's a ton of enrage combinations to be done with this right now. There is the, what is he called? The Frothing Berserker, I believe. He, every time a minion takes damage, he gains attack. So maybe you could do something with that with this, but all in all, just a solid weapon. Then we got Story of Sulfurous. It is a 5 mana fire spell. Swap your hero power to deal 8 damage to a random enemy minion. After 2 uses, swap back. It's like a mixture of Metamorphosis and Rag hero power. Seems very, very slow. It is nice to, have this, but I mean, I think you're better off just trying to get Sulfurous off the quest anyway. But maybe there's a deck that wants to run this or a way to reduce its cost or something like that. I just don't see it being very great. It's essentially 9 mana for 16 random damage in 2 8 damage installments too. So it's not even like pings where some will hit good targets, some won't. It's just one could hit any target. Sometimes it'll just win you a game. Other times it'll hit a 1/1. Next, we're moving on to Druid. We have a 7 mana 5/5 Low, the Living Legend. He is a battle cry minion. Your minions cost 5 this game. So potentially a good way to pump out a bunch of really, really big minions. Not a bunch, but at least a couple at a time. A 10 drop that you wouldn't normally be able to play 2 of. Now all of a sudden you play 2 of the, what are they, Briar Spawn Drakes on the same turn or something like that. There's other ways to do that. Specifically with dragons, with the other guy that makes all your or your first dragon, I guess now cost 1. But things like that, just dropping out big minions for pretty decent mana cheat. Right now, I don't think it's going to be that crazy. We'll see what else comes with him. But it's just it's a card that exists. Maybe it'll enable a combo later on. Next, we're going to move on to the Story of Barnabas. 2 mana spell, no spell class. Draw a minion. If it has 5 or more attack, give it 5 health and gain 5 armor. 2 mana quasi tutor. It's not always going to get you exactly what you want unless you have very, very limited minions in your deck. But 5 armor and maybe a large buff on a taunt minion with extra health or something like that. I don't know exactly what is going to like the health, but might be decent. All in all, not a bad card. Just a 2 mana minion tutor. All right, next up we got a pretty big neutral card dump going on. So we'll start off with the Tar Tyrant, the 8 mana 1/12 taunt lifesteal has +6 attack during your opponent's turn. Don't know if I mentioned, but an elemental, pretty much expected from the other uh, tar creepers and things like that. Same kind of effect. I don't think it's very good. I think it's too vanilla and a little too late. Tar Creeper was good because you could get it down relatively early. It put up a roadblock for more aggressive decks. This is meant to be a defensive tool. Obviously, it doesn't that lifesteal doesn't help you on your turn because it only has one attack, things like that. I think just a little too vanilla for today's Hearthstone. Next, we have the skill Hide Kodo. It is a 6 mana 3/6 beast. Battlecry, destroy the lowest attack enemy minion. Kindred, the highest attack instead. So a 6 mana 3/6 that kills a minion. I think if you're running beasts, a kindred effect like this is not what you're looking for. This is a little bit more defensive, I'd say. Maybe, I mean, maybe sometimes it kills a taunt, but you don't really 100% get to target it. I think you want something more aggressive in a beast kindred style deck. But we'll see how it goes. Maybe, it's just a solid removal tool for some other more control-y or mid-range beast decks. But I even think in a mid-range it doesn't really fit because it doesn't apply pressure. Then we have a 3 mana 3/3 beast, the Marshland Thresher. After you cast a spell, gain Divine Shield. Another very, very vanilla card. If this had better stats, or maybe started with Divine Shield, even that might help it. I just don't think it's enough. It's very, very slow. Requires two cards to even do something, essentially. Otherwise, it's just vanilla statted. Uh, I mean, yeah, you play a spell with it, you get a Divine Shield, maybe get a value trade, but it is not a very impactful card. Next up, we got a 2 mana 2/2 Crystal Tender. This is a tradable battlecry minion. Gain an empty mana crystal until both players have the same mana. This might have felt very good back in the day when druids ran a little bit wild and had nourish and everything, and 90% of your games a druid had, you know, 10 mana by turn 4. Then it probably would have felt a little bit better. Nowadays, I don't really see it having a use. I mean, the only thing it can really kind of get you a benefit for is if the opponent is running Ysera, basically. I mean, occasionally you'll run into a warrior, a druid that this might work in, but most of the time this is just a dead card. Next up, the Curious Explorer, a 2 mana 3/5 Death Rattle, reduce the cost of a minion in your opponent's hand by 2. Pretty big stats for a 2-drop. I think maybe, honestly, if they just gave it like a Yeti stat line, like give it a 4/5, it might have been a little bit more worth it. But there's a chance, I guess, it's enough pressure early on to get a real good foothold on the board in a more aggressive style deck. But then you got to think if this thing does get killed, then your opponent has a big old minion to drop and really shut down your game plan. I mean, you think you reduce the cost of something with Divine Shield and Taunt, whatever it might be. So I'm just very skeptical. I mean, maybe it gets played in some aggro decks, but I guess we'll have to find out. Moving on to a 3 mana 1/5 Beast, the Ancient Stegodon. Battlecry, choose to gain Taunt, Poisonous, or 1/1. Again, pretty vanilla. 1/5 Taunt for 3 that doesn't do anything else feels pretty bad. I think there's 1/5 taunts with that do things for 3 mana. That I think it's a warrior one. It draws another taunt, or maybe that's a no. I think that's a druid card technically, but it gets tourist over. But yeah, that draws another taunt. Um, we also have the poisonous option, which I don't see that being very great. Probably just gets removed. A 2/6 instead. Yeah, this just doesn't doesn't work. We got a 3 mana 3/3, the Relic Miner. Battlecry, destroy the top card of your deck, discover a card of the same rarity. I don't know. I mean, if you know you have nothing in your deck for a situation and you are really in a pinch for something, maybe this works in some way. I have no idea what that would be. But yeah, I mean, destroying a card that you have on purpose for a card that you likely have no use for is almost certainly not going to be a good play ever. The Undercover Cultist, a 3 mana 2/3. Taunt Reborn has +3 attack while damaged. Again, a pretty vanilla card. Overall, better than some of the other ones. It has that +3 attack. So this could be mildly aggressive if the opponent can't take out the first and second half of it with that Reborn. You then have a 5/1 at least. You can take, favorable trades at that point, or hit them for 5 face. Not too bad. I just don't see this being over the top by any means, unless there's quite a bit of Reborn synergies that comes back or something like that. But for the time being, this is, I'd say, mediocre in comparison. I mean, it's definitely better than some of the other ones we've seen so far. Next up, we have the Ultra Gigasaur, an 11 mana 14/28 beast. This card is a meme, although a great one. It's just a callback to the Ultrasaur, iconic card in Hearthstone. These stats are massive. This could be fun to eat with, say, the tree in Warlock, gain its stats, then it plops this in your hand. I don't know how you play it after, but we'll figure that out later. But yeah, all in all, a very fun meme card. I do like the flavor text. It's got Ultrasaur for scale. So that's the old card, which was a very, very large minion, especially at the time, and then just an even larger one. All in all, very funny card. Not sure it's going to see play, but it's a meme that Hearthstone needs. Now we have a 5 mana 3/6 elemental, the Storm Brewer. Whenever this attacks, deal 3 damage to the target first. Kindred gain rush. I could see this potentially doing something decent at some point. I don't know exactly how it gets there right now. Obviously, it needs to be run with elementals. That rush is going to be pretty important for it, I have a feeling. But if there was a way that you could basically turn this into a Alakir, you get it going face with Wind Fury somehow, now it's dealing double damage to the opponent. I just don't see it necessarily living that long. This is something that I feel like is going to be, you know, priority to take out if it does see play. It's just one of those minions, like, it's too expensive and it could deal some decent damage, but it's almost never going to. Then we got the Cloud Serpent, a 4 mana 4/3 dragon elemental or elemental dragon. Battle cry, get a copy of another elemental or dragon in your hand. Uh, maybe we haven't seen any dragon kindred yet, I don't believe. I mean, but maybe a dragon elemental mix kind of deck with kindred or something like that. Could be fun. Could be a nice little archetype to try and see if that's something you could do something with. But all in all, I mean, just another copy of something for a 4 mana 4/3. Unless it's a super valuable minion, I'm trying to think of something that you might want. I mean, Yasandre, get another copy of that. That's never bad. You have other ways to do that, though, cheaper, better ways that you don't have to play it from hand and things like that. Or, I mean, Alakir, something like that. But all in all, I think very niche card. Don't think it's gonna really fit a lot of lists, but like I said, maybe there is one that you want to copy, and I'll probably try and get 3 copies of something fun like that. We got a 1 mana 2/1 elemental here, the Sizzling Cinder. Death Rattle, deal 2 damage, randomly split among all enemies. Uh, just a okay 1 drop for an elemental deck. I don't think it's quite as useful as something like the Glacial Shard. I think that's what it's called. The 1 mana 2/1 that freezes an enemy. You get to target it. It's immediate. It's a little bit better. It can serve more purposes. But as like a small minion to trade in the early game while you get an elemental chain rolling, seems okay. We have City Chief Esho here. 6 mana, 5/7 battle cry, neutral legendary. If every minion in your deck shares a minion type, give your other minions +2/+2 wherever they are. It's a permanent buff on all of your minions. I would assume that includes, things you discover. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like Cthulhu, right? If that minion exists, gets discovered, whatever it is, they have the +2/+2. A little slow, probably. I feel like if you're running, I'm trying to think of like a monotype deck that would be trying to do things like this. I mean, elementals and shaman maybe, but then you wanted to play like Kalamos, on curve, trying to deal damage right to their face, finish them off at like 7 mana. You play this, it breaks your elemental chain. I just don't know exactly what this goes in. Maybe there's a chance it does, but I don't really see it at the moment. Not saying I won't try and make it work with a mono minion type deck, but we'll see if it's got something it can really benefit playing with. Maybe it's Beasts, maybe it's Murlocs. Murlocs might not be too terrible. It's just so slow, for something like that, because Murlocs want to go real fast. Speaking of Murlocs, we have the 4 mana 3/2 Steamfin Thief. Kindred summon 2/1/1 Murlocs with Rush. This is terrible. It's way too expensive. I mean, this could have been a 3 drop, I guess, something like that. Might have made it a little bit better, but even then, it's not very good. More Murlocs coming up here. We got the 3 mana 3/2 Primal Fin Challenger. I love the art. But I don't know how good he is. We got the battle cry being your next kindred triggers twice. I mean, looking at this last one, that doesn't work very well. I mean, it's just 2/1/1s. Maybe there is a kindred effect that will be great with it. Maybe it's not even a Murloc synergy you want to use this for. You just want a double kindred. But I guess we will have to see if we get any of those kindred effects that make this actually worth playing. Here we have a Platysaur, a 1 mana 1/2 beast. Battlecry, draw a card. Death Rattle, discard it. I don't see this being all too great, especially like playing it early. Like it's a 1 drop. You want to curve it out early, right? Draw that card, but then it's so weak it dies and you lose that card anyway. I mean, I could see like late in the game just using this as a very cheap cycle essentially to dig for a play when you have a bunch of mana. You just draw it, play it immediately, whatever you draw, so you can't discard it. But I just don't see this being great unless you can find a way to maybe silence it or something like that. But that seems like quite an investment for 1 card. At that point, you're using what, 2 cards to then play this, silence it, and all the draw one. But we'll see. Maybe it has a use. Late in the game, you really just want to find that ceaseless. So you just throw this down. Ceaseless is going to be playable. This won't die before you play it, and it saves the game. You don't die. You turn the corner and you win. But I don't see that happening consistently. I think a lot of times you're just going to lose a card. We got another dinosaur, the Ravenous Devilsaur, 7 mana 3/3. Battlecry, destroy a minion. Kindred, gain its stats. I think the effect looks big and flashy, but it's just too expensive. I don't think removing a single enemy minion, even gaining its stats. I mean, say it's a giant starship or the treant from Warlock. I don't see it really ending a game or anything like that. It just gets killed by removal. It doesn't do anything other than destroy 1 minion. I mean, it could be a big board swing if they have no answer, but I don't see it really making its way because you got to wait till you have 7 mana to even think about playing it. And you have to play beasts to make this work. I mean, not that beasts are necessarily going to be bad. There's obviously going to be a bunch of them in the set, but too slow. We got a 4 mana 2/7 undead beast Torga, a neutral legendary battle cry, draw a kinder card, and another activates it. Depending on the kindred effects, I think this could be a stable, just kind of like throwing it in there. If kindred cards are decent, why not throw this in there? It draws you two cards. It's a body. It's not a great body, but a 4 mana 2/7, it could hopefully take some value trades for you that early on into the game. And drawing two cards isn't terrible. And if these effects are good, you're going to have the effect and an activator for it right off. Moving right along to the Dissolving Ooze, a 3 mana 3/3 battle cry, destroy a friendly minion. Spit out the bones of its attack and health into your hand. So I think you just get just a copy of it, or not really a copy, just like a vanilla minion. Or maybe it's just a spell that buffs the minion. It does kill your own minion though, so I don't really know why you would want to necessarily do it this way for a buff. You're just taking stats off board to pay to put them back on board. Don't see a great use yet. I mean, obviously there are some death rattles maybe that you would want to trigger, but I feel like there's better ways to do that. All in all, a little interested in how it works. I think if that is going to be a spell, so maybe we'll see if there's something we can do to make this a little bit more impactful. Another elemental here, the 4 mana 2/4 blob of Tara. It's a poisonous taunt death rattle summon, a 1/2 blob with poisonous and a 1/2 blob with taunt. It's just a pile of stats, right? Or the second half, it'll be another decent little trade. The poisonous 1/2 killing off basically whatever you want. The other taunt, kind of buying you another swing. Mediocre, I think. I'll have to see. I don't know how good it is necessarily. I mean, maybe if elementals are decent in Death Knight, this is three bodies. That might be decent for corpse type card. Not sure. We'll have to see what the other elementals that work with it look like and things like that. All right, that is going to wrap it up for now, I believe. I don't think I missed any, but yeah, we got another handful of cards, mostly just a bunch of neutrals, not anything really too impactful, but maybe there's some fun stuff we'll do in there. Try and get some Ultra Gigasaur action somehow, just because everyone has to meme. But if you did enjoy this video, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to try and keep up with these a little bit better. So hopefully I don't have to do like 3 days worth in one dump, but we'll see how that goes. And thank you for watching. See you in the next one.